There lived a young man named Siddhartha. He was known throughout the village for his intelligence and quick wit. Siddhartha was a diligent student of the local monastery, where the teachings of Buddhism were the guiding light for all who sought inner peace and enlightenment. One bright morning, as the sun's rays gently kissed the snow-capped peaks of the mountains, Siddhartha sat in the monastery, listening intently to the wise words of his teacher, Master Dharmapala. The old monk spoke of the art of not trying, a concept that intrigued Siddhartha deeply. The art of not trying, Master Dharmapala explained, is the path to true inner peace and enlightenment. It is the understanding that life is a river, and instead of swimming against its currents, we should learn to flow with it. This does not mean we should become passive or lazy, but rather we should let go of our desires and attachments and find harmony with the universe. Siddhartha absorbed these words like a sponge soaking up water. He couldn't help but wonder how one could achieve this state of not trying. He approached his teacher after the lecture. Master Dharmapala, Siddhartha began, I am eager to understand the art of not trying. Can you please guide me on this path? The old monk smiled warmly at Siddhartha's enthusiasm. My dear student, the art of not trying is a lifelong journey, but I can give you a starting point. Find a quiet place, meditate, and observe your thoughts. Acknowledge them without judgment, and let them pass like leaves floating down a river. This practice will help you detach from your desires and attachments. Siddhartha nodded and embarked on his quest to master the art of not trying. He found a secluded spot by a babbling brook, sat down cross-legged, and closed his eyes. At first, his mind was a torrent of thoughts and desires, much like the turbulent waters of the brook. But Siddhartha persevered, letting go of each thought as it arose. Days turned into weeks, and Siddhartha's meditation deepened. He began to experience moments of profound stillness, where the noise of his thoughts subsided, and he felt connected to the world around him in ways he had never before imagined. He understood that the path to not trying was not about suppressing desires, but about transcending them. One day, while meditating, Siddhartha had a vision of a withered tree. Its branches were bare, and its roots ran deep into the earth. Siddhartha saw himself as that tree, firmly rooted in the present moment, unaffected by the storms of desire and attachment. This vision filled him with a sense of tranquility he had never known. Word of Siddhartha's progress reached the ears of the villagers, and they began to seek his guidance. People came from far and wide to learn the art of not trying. Siddhartha shared his experiences and taught them to meditate, encouraging them to observe their thoughts without judgment. Among Siddhartha's students was a wealthy merchant named Rajan. Rajan had accumulated great wealth through his business endeavors, but he was plagued by constant stress and anxiety. He sought Siddhartha's help in finding inner peace. Siddhartha welcomed Rajan and explained the practice of not trying. Rajan, however, was skeptical. I have achieved success through hard work and determination, he argued. Why should I stop trying? Siddhartha smiled and replied, It is not about ceasing all efforts, but about understanding the nature of your efforts. When you work with attachment and desire, you are like a river trying to flow uphill. But when you work without attachment, you become like the river flowing effortlessly downstream, in harmony with the universe. Rajan decided to give it a try, though he couldn't fully grasp the concept. He started meditating, but found it difficult to let go of his anxieties about his business. Every day, he would sit by the brook, struggling to quiet his racing mind. One evening, as the sun dipped below the mountains, casting a golden glow over the village, Rajan experienced a breakthrough. He closed his eyes, took a deep breath, and let go of all his worries. In that moment, he felt a profound sense of peace wash over him. The weight of his desires and attachments lifted, and he realized the truth of Siddhartha's teachings. Over time, Rajan's business thrived even more than before. but he approached his work with a newfound sense of detachment. He made decisions based on wisdom and compassion rather than fear and greed. His employees noticed the change and became more loyal and dedicated to the company. As Rajan continued to deepen his practice, he began to support the monastery and the village, using his wealth to fund various charitable projects. He understood that true happiness came not from the accumulation of material possessions, but from giving and serving others. Word of Rajan's transformation spread far and wide, and people from neighboring villages sought his guidance. The village, once a quiet and remote place, began to flourish as people flocked to learn the art of not trying. The monastery expanded, and more monks and nuns came to study under Master Dharmapala and Siddhartha. Among the new arrivals was a young woman named Annika. She had lost her parents at a young age and had struggled to make a living as a farmer. Annika heard of the village's reputation for inner peace and decided to seek solace there. Siddhartha noticed Annika's arrival and saw the pain in her eyes. He approached her and said, "Welcome, Annika. I sense that you carry a heavy burden. Would you like to learn the art of not trying?" Annika nodded, tears glistening in her eyes. She had spent her life trying to make ends meet, working tirelessly on her small farm, but she still lived in poverty. She felt overwhelmed by the constant struggle to survive. Siddhartha guided Annika in her meditation, teaching her to let go of the worries and fears that had consumed her. As she practiced, she began to see that her attachment to material wealth had been the source of her suffering. She realized that true contentment came from within, not from external possessions. Annika's transformation was profound. She continued to farm her land, but with a newfound sense of detachment. She worked diligently without being consumed by anxiety about the outcome. To her surprise, her crops flourished and her farm began to prosper. One day, as Annika was tending to her fields, she noticed a group of travelers passing through the village. They were pilgrims on their way to a distant temple, and they looked weary and hungry. Annika, filled with compassion, invited them to rest in the shade of her trees and offered them food and water. The pilgrims were grateful for Annika's kindness and shared stories of their journey. They spoke of the temple they were headed to, a place of great spiritual significance, where people from all walks of life gathered to seek inner peace and enlightenment. Annika listened intently to their tales and felt drawn to the temple. She realized that her newfound sense of peace and detachment had opened her heart to the possibility of a deeper spiritual journey. She decided to join the pilgrims on their quest. Together, they embarked on a long and arduous journey through dense forests and treacherous mountain passes. Along the way, Annika continued to practice the art of not trying, finding solace in the beauty of the natural world and the company of her fellow travelers. Finally, after months of travel, they arrived at the temple. It was a majestic structure perched atop a mountain, surrounded by lush gardens and serene ponds. The air was filled with the scent of incense, and the sound of chanting monks echoed through the halls. Annika entered the temple with a heart full of hope and humility. She sought the guidance of the temple's abbot, a wise and gentle monk named Master Kalyan. She shared her journey and the teachings of Siddhartha and Master Dharmapala. Master Kalyan listened attentively and then smiled. "Your journey, Annika, has brought you to the right place," he said. "Here at this temple, we practice the art of not trying in its purest form. We believe that by letting go of desires and attachments, we can find true enlightenment." Annika dedicated herself to the temple's practices, which were more rigorous and disciplined than what she had experienced in the village. She spent hours in meditation, deepening her understanding of the art of not trying. She also engaged in acts of service, tending to the temple's gardens and helping to feed the monks and pilgrims who visited. As the years passed, Annika's inner peace and wisdom grew. She became a revered figure at the temple, known for her compassion and humility. People came from far and wide to seek her guidance, just as she had sought the guidance of Siddhartha and Master Dharmapala. One day, while meditating in the temple's tranquil garden, Annika experienced a profound revelation. She realized that the art of not trying was not just about finding inner peace and detachment, but also about sharing that peace with others. She understood that true enlightenment was not a solitary journey, but a collective one. With this newfound insight, Annika decided to leave the temple and return to her village. She wanted to share the teachings of the art of not trying with her fellow villagers, just as Siddhartha had shared them with her. Master Kalyam supported her decision, knowing that her mission was one of great compassion. Annika's return to the village was met with joy and celebration. She gathered the villagers and began teaching them the art of not trying. She emphasized the importance of compassion, service, and the interconnectedness of all beings. Under Annika's guidance, the village flourished not only in material wealth, but also in spiritual richness. The people lived in harmony with nature, and their sense of community deepened. They built schools and hospitals, caring for one another with kindness and compassion. Siddhartha, who had continued to meditate and teach in the village, watched with pride as the teachings of the art of not trying spread far and wide. He had come to understand that true enlightenment was not about escaping the world, but about transforming it through love and wisdom. As the years passed, Siddhartha and Annika became close friends, sharing their experiences and insights. They often sat by the same babbling brook where Siddhartha had first learned the art of not trying and reflected on their journey. One evening, as the sun set behind the mountains, casting a golden glow over the village, Siddhartha turned to Annika and said, "My dear friend, we have come a long way on this journey of not trying. We have learned that true happiness comes from within, and that by letting go of desires and attachments, we can find peace and enlightenment." Annika nodded, her eyes filled with gratitude. "And we have also learned that our journey does not end with our own enlightenment," she added. "It is our duty to share the art of not trying with others, to help them find the same peace and wisdom that we have found." Siddhartha smiled and said, "Indeed, Annika, for in sharing this art, we create a ripple effect of compassion and love that can transform the world." And so Siddhartha and Annika continued their journey, teaching and inspiring others to embrace the art of not trying. They understood that true enlightenment was not a destination, but a lifelong path, a path of love, compassion, and the realization that we are all connected in the great river of life, flowing together toward the same source of inner peace and enlightenment.